Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kristen and this is Growing Zone 9B. So we've had a little bit of an incident situation happen. My fiance, we've been doing the detox and drinking a lot of juice and stuff, and he had a gout flare-up. So we have not been doing like red meats or anything like that. We've not really been doing any, I don't do dairy, but he hasn't really been doing too much dairy. So we don't know necessarily why this inflammation occurred. We couldn't like narrow it down to figure out like, oh, you've been doing a lot of this or this or this. So thankfully the good Lord has blessed us because we have that Persian mulberry tree out here, and guess what? There are so many mulberries all over the tree. I am so excited. We are gonna go out there and pick mulberries today, but I wanted to go over a few things with you all. I'm just gonna like read it from the iPad. I don't want anybody saying, oh well, you said this wrong, you didn't do this right, or anything like that. You guys do your own research as always. Work with and consult with your own physician. Don't ever like be reliant on what I'm doing. Like, you do your own research. I have always said that, but I think this is good to have in your toolbox because when he had the flare-up, I knew, and I told him, I said, listen, I can take you to the doctors, the hospital, whatever you want to do. It was really bad. It was like running all the way up to his knee, and his whole leg was red and swollen, and he's got other underlying conditions. So I said to him, or we can try to treat some of it as naturally as we can. And thankfully he kind of went with the natural route for now. So I've been definitely doing like some cranberry drink with him and stuff. But we've also been doing the mulberry fresh from the garden. And so that's why it's good to have these plants around. So let's kind of go over it real quick. So mulberry leaves. Now I do have some dried mulberry leaves in case something happened. I have done the dried mulberry leaves in the dehydrator that we have. But oh, it's a woodpecker. What I've been doing is I have been taking the fresh leaves and putting them in my Chefman brewer and brewing him some just straight up fresh leaves mulberries, and I will throw in about maybe like 7 or 8 mulberries into it as well. So it gives it this beautiful red color. If he didn't take it to work this morning, I will go show you guys what the tea looks like. But I just brewed it, and then at the end I kind of like squeezed the berries. I took a fork down into the infuser and I just kind of like squeezed the berry juice out, and it was beautiful. He actually has been drinking it for the last couple of days, says he absolutely loves it. But here are some potential benefits for mulberry leaf tea. So mulberry tea leaf is, I say it's good for you. You figure out if it's good for you guys, but I think it is. It helps to manage blood sugar, improves insulin sensitivity, supports overall metabolic health. It's also helps with weight management. It's got potential heart health benefits. It says it helps potentially to protect against heart disease by reducing cholesterol levels and preventing plaque buildup in the arteries. So I think that that's really important. It has obviously anti-inflammatory properties, antioxidant effects. It helps with kidney health potentially, and it's caffeine free. So if you're like me and you're caffeine sensitive, then this is obviously a fresh herbal tea that you can make, which is really good. I have talked about the mulberry plant over and over again. It's such an easy plant to grow here. I absolutely love having that mulberry here in our backyard. I have started propagating the mulberries. I have showed you guys where how to propagate. Go back and check out that video. But it's fairly simple. You're just gonna cut the limb close to the main branch as possible and pull off all the leaves so it's not trying to like struggle with that. And then basically I put a little bit of aloe vera, fresh plant. I pop off a leaf, stick it in there, pop it into some really good soil. I've been using the bat guano and soil. I can go show you guys what that bag looks like, but I've been using that soil, and I've been trying to propagate the mulberries. I would love for my parents to have some mulberries as well, so I'm going to be propagating more mulberries. It's just overall such a versatile plant to have in your toolbox or your arsenal. Make sure that you guys are really studying this. Like I said, if you find some information that's very beneficial to you, write it down. Don't just be reliant on watching these videos over and over. It's really important. I mean, I don't mind you watching them, and I would love for you to share them with others, but it's important that you all are taking note and you all are just really absorbing this information, because there may come a time when you might not have access to the internet. Let's just say, you know, it's not a shift situation, but let's just say that it's a hurricane or something like that, and you need to know, you don't have electricity, and you need to know what happens. Let's say he had a gout flare up during that time frame. Look up the benefits of mulberry leaf tea with gout. So if you have those issues, you know, check that out. It might be beneficial to you, especially if you can kind of, sometimes my fiance can kind of tell before he's gonna have a flare up. This time he didn't, and so we don't really know why that occurred. But so let's go out there and look at the bag of soil that I've been using recently. It is not cheap, but when I'm starting to propagate plants or starting new seeds, this is what I've been using. So let's go check it out. All right, so it's Fox Farm. You can see it up here, Fox Farm Soil and Fertilizer Company. And the one that I'm using is Ocean Forest. It's the potting soil. That's how I've been getting my plant started. I just ripped the bag in the middle and been using my little shovel to fill buckets. But this one actually contains bat guano and earthworm castings. So this is the big bag that I have been using. So it's 3 cubic feet. Like I said, it's not cheap, but you know, I like to make sure that my plants get off to a really good start, and you don't want something that's going to burn your plants or your seedlings. So this is how I basically have been starting my propagation and my new seedlings for this year. All right, so here is the mulberry tree. Look at it. Obviously you can see which way the wind blows from off the lake. It's like going right towards the house, and that's why you don't see any limbs basically on this side of the tree. The tree is completely leaning in this direction, and that is unfortunately because we have a lot of wind that picks up here. But you can see all the beautiful dark berries that are just loaded on this plant. So they're just everywhere. So I am going to be picking these berries. Like, you literally, if a berry's ripe, it will pretty much just fall in your hand. You don't have to really like pull at them, but they will stain your hands for sure. We have gone over this before, but I love the mulberry. I love utilizing the mulberry in every fashion that I can. You can dehydrate these. Now, whether or not you'll get the same benefits, do your own research. Sometimes when you dehydrate stuff, it tends to lose some of the properties, or the properties are not as strong as they are when they are fresh. But I like to just take the leaves and just use them in teas, and I can dehydrate them. But pretty much here year-round, our mulberry leaves are fresh, so I don't have to worry about that at all. I just come out here and I start using the leaves, even if I don't have any mulberries to throw into it. And my fiance will definitely eat all of, you know, the properties of this and drink it, even if it's not got the fresh berries. And it's such a lovely day out. It's actually kind of cool out this morning. I think the temperatures were oddly this morning, like our mornings have been really cool, and then the temps have been rising in the afternoons. So in the mornings, honestly, we've been in the 40s or 50s, and then we have been going as high as like the 80s right now. Not too much higher than that, but so I'm gonna sit you guys down and y'all can just watch me pick berries this morning. Look at all of them. There's just a plethora of berries. Look at all that, all the darkness. The birds have been loving it and been up in our mulberry tree eating them, so I want to get them before they consume them all. I will definitely leave plenty for our birds and our friends and our bees and whoever else would like to enjoy some of them, but I've got to pick some for us as well. All right, in that short period of time, we have almost a full basket full of mulberries. So it's really that easy. It doesn't really take too long to be able to pick the mulberries. And like I said, it's great for making herbal teas with. So if you're a person who likes berries, definitely give this plant a try. I praise this plant all the time. It does really well. It's just such a good plant to have in your garden. So all right friends, I'm gonna finish picking these berries, and I may actually try to juice some in our juicer, and then that way I'll save the concentrated juice. You can use little like ice cube trays, and you can fill that up and have concentrated juice. I like to do that as well, so I keep some ice trays around, and after I juice it, I fill those up, and then you can just put them in like a zippy bag or whatever, and you can actually make hot teas with them. Just add some hot water. You can make a nice cold tea, or it actually is a nice refreshing treat to just drop on. I know a lot of people have those Stanley cups. My friend Amber actually got me a Stanley cup for my birthday, and so you can drop 1 or 2 of those cubes in there because it is the concentrated juice. Add some water in there and take it to work, and then that way you can start to drink. That's one of the downfalls for me personally, is I don't really drink a lot while I'm at work, and so sometimes if I add a little bit of flavor to my drinks, I have a tendency to enjoy the water more. So just food for thought, and a good way to get everybody, you know, finding kind of different ways to utilize this berry. I know a lot of people don't like seeds, and for us, eating jellies all the time, we've really been trying to stay away from carbs. Now I will probably make some jellies for my nephews. They like to take little sandwiches, and they do a lot of PB&J or almond butter or the pecan butter that I make. They love that. So I try to change it up for them and my parents, and so I love sharing. And this is a great plant that if you have a couple of them, it's just, there's so much more that I need to go and pick from. But like I said, what a great plant to have, and in times of need, this has vitamin C, vitamin K. Look up all the nutritional value that this berry will bring to you, and consider growing it in your garden. All right friends, so we are back in the house. We got this big dripping still wet basket of mulberries, and I just wanted to show you guys how simple it is to make this tea. So I have my Chefman teapot here. You'll hear it beep. All right, in this cylinder, I have about 16 fresh leaves. I did count them so that you guys would know. Now you can do more or less. There's no precise measurement to it. So you can see they're in the bottom of the cup here. And I'm gonna take approximately, move you guys back so you can see. I'm gonna take approximately, let's just say, maybe 12 berries. Again, you can do more or less. I kind of try to smush them down just a little bit in there so that they kind of sit in the bottom of this cradle in here, okay? And I like to add the berries themselves because they're good with iron, potassium, polyphenols, magnesium, vitamin C, zinc, calcium. This is just a good overall anti-inflammatory drink that you can make yourself. And that's what I'm saying. So you could have other inflammatory issues going on, not just gout like my fiance. You could have something else going on, and this potentially may benefit you. Now, you can see from the wet cloth, it will dye your fingers. You can kind of see my fingers are purple. It'll dye anything basically that it touches. So you don't want to be wearing white when you are doing this because it will turn it into a stain. So I just hit the button. It's on red. So that is the one that I like to use, which basically it's just telling you, you choose. It's 212 degrees. There's green, blue, yellow, purple, like you pick your temperature. I like to do the highest temperature because with the fresh leaves, you want to make sure that you're getting as much out of them as you can. And like I said, when this is done, I let this steep for a minimum of 5 to 10 minutes, which I'll bring you guys back after. And then I will take a fork down in that cylinder and I will just smush down the rest of those berries in there, so that way the seeds don't get into the drink. I know a lot of people don't really like the seeds, so that strainer is small enough that you won't have that effect. And so then your tea will be ready. I usually just put it in a glass, like larger, I think this is a ball jar, not a mason jar. In a ball jar, it's a wide mouth ball jar. It's 6 cups, 3 pints, it says. So if you're wanting to know what size this jar is, I get the plastic reusable lids. And for the sweetener, I like to add, I use this company all the time. No, I am not promoted by them. It's Old Florida Bee Company. It's orange blossom, the flavor. This flavor works really well with the mulberries. It gives it that nice citrus. I think citrus brings out a lot of like just great texture overall, like flavor for your palate. Maybe not texture, but flavor for your palate. Berries and oranges kind of just work really well. In the refrigerator, I always keep some dried oranges that I like to add to tea. So if I dehydrated some of these mulberries, which I can make a tea for the future. So if you have a holiday or that you want to do gifts with, or let's just say somebody's birthday's coming up, let me show you what those oranges look like. All right, so these are key limes, but you kind of get the idea. I dehydrated these. I do keep them in the refrigerator. You don't have to, I do though. I do this with oranges, I do it with limes, I dehydrate them. And if I'm in a rush and I'm headed out to work and my fiance or I need something really good to drink, or my parents come over or something like that, or a neighbor and they want some hot tea, then it's just easy for me to get hot water out of our Zephyr Hills water dispenser and drop a couple of those dehydrated lemons and add a little bit of this beautiful honey to it, and then I've already got the tea mixed up. Now if I've done the concentrate, which all I'm going to do today is I'm going to throw all of these berries into my juicer. I will take you guys along with that. It's a fairly simple process. I get the juice is concentrated, I put it in ice cube trays, and you know, we make it super simple here because I just don't have time to, you know, really invest a lot into a process that's extensive. But like I said, it's a really quick, easy way to get something good and healthy in your system, especially if you're not feeling well. This is a great homemade tea to make. And like I said, you can dehydrate this stuff and make little tea packets for people, and they make wonderful gifts. What a blessing it is to have this berry and fruit and tree and leaves in our yard. I'm telling you, friends, this is what God has brought to us. It's beautiful goodness from the earth. And we need to be more focused on how we can get our nutrients from our own backyard if possible. And like I've always said, if you're in a predicament where you're not able to do that, maybe your parents can do it. Maybe a friend has a backyard that they might be willing to say, hey, yeah, if you want to have a, you know, green stalk or something like that, you can start growing. Now, you obviously won't be able to do a mulberry, but you can, you know, at least do some stuff in a green stalk. If you've got an apartment with like maybe a balcony, you might be able to also produce some things, not what this is. But I just strongly encourage you all to be kind of preparing and find ways to start doing what you need to do for juicing and drinking, you know, healthy drinks and eating more healthy. Like I said, going to the grocery store, stuff is just escalating, so we don't want to see that, and you don't want that to affect your pocket. All right, I'll bring you guys back as soon as this is done, and I'll show you how beautiful it is and what it looks like. All right, so that tea has been steeping for about 5 minutes now. So all I'm gonna do is just take my jug, going to put some of this honey in here. I would say it's probably like 6 tablespoons of honey. And I found this like knife that you use for like cakes, like putting icing on cakes. So I think that'll be best to use. Look at that color. Isn't that nice? And you made this yourself right from your garden, friends. That's what we want to see. We want to see that type of healthy implementation into your life. Now this cylinder is going to be hot. I don't mind hot things too much. I don't get burned. I'm not as sensitive as some people. But you need to take precautions when you do this. Remember, I'm doing what's best for me. You do what's best for you. All right, in here you can see that the berries didn't, hopefully you can see, they didn't really break down, and that's kind of what happened. So I take this knife, and or a fork or whatever you have, you don't have to have a special tool, and I just press it down, and I'm getting the rest of that berry juice out of here. Getting those good antioxidants out. You know, the darker the berry, the better it is for you, right? So I just squish them out. And there's lots of beautiful juice coming out of it. And you can see it from the napkin. And I just kind of take it, swirl it around, because I'm like rinsing it off, in my opinion. I'm rinsing off all those berries. I'm getting that juice really, really, really in there. Yeah, you can see, look at that color. It's beautiful. It well stained, so like I said earlier, keep that in mind. And then I just pour it in and let it cool down. Ooh, and it broke. Okay, so the glass jar actually just broke. I've actually never had that happen. And of course I'm shooting a video, so hey, you know what? I'd rather it happen with me than happen with you all. This is why I still actually use quite a bit of plastic. Unfortunately, yes, the plastic could potentially leach into your drink, but you don't risk busting a glass like I just did. So, because it's cooler in the house and I hit it with that hot juice, it just destroyed that glass. It snapped it right in half. So, all right, so other than wasting some honey and a little bit of tea, all is good, nobody's hurt, and that's most important. All right, so unfortunately this pitcher is already blue. My clear pitcher, my clear plastic pitcher, has the liquid Manjaro in it. So all right, so we're just gonna pour this in the plastic. We know the plastic will not break, so y'all be careful. And because this didn't make a lot, I usually try to make it pretty fresh for my fiance. It really just is very small. So I'm gonna go back out to the garden. I'm gonna get some more, and I'm gonna continue this process. I'm just gonna keep repeating it, and he'll just have a full super large container of this tea. So no big deal though. The process all still works the same, just as you can see what happened to me. Just be cautious with the glass, because the glass can break. At least it did not shatter everywhere, so I'm grateful for that. So that is just one of the ways that you can utilize this berry if you don't really want to consume it in the form that it's in. I don't mind it. It's delicious. It's good for you. I love it. I'll eat them all day, but my fiance not so much, but he will drink it. All right, so the next thing that we are going to do, so this is like your bonus, not bonus. I'll come back to making the tea on my own. I just wanted to show you how simple it is to juice. And I still have a ton of berries out there that I need to continue picking from. So let's get that juicing started so that you guys can see what that concentrated juice looks like and how beautiful it is. All right, so the juicing is super simple. We're just gonna go ahead and start. I'm gonna put it on low, and I'm just gonna be grabbing these by the handful and dropping them in. So we just got finished doing this juice. Now this will definitely stain. It will stain everything it touches. It just got on my cabinets. So I gotta get that off the cabinets very quickly, or otherwise it will never come off. So will stay kind of permanent. But yeah, so you kind of have to be careful with that aspect of it. That's why I said it will stain you. But and you can see it's just like it's dripping down here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's dripping. It's super dark. It looks like blood. But that's good because it's healthy for you. But here's what the concentrate looks like. So it's super thick, super red. It's just so dark. I'm just gonna tell you from my experience, I'm not gonna straight up drink this. I'm definitely diluting it. That's why to put this in an ice cube tray or something like that just makes more sense to me, because then when I drop it in water, it just kind of dilutes the process and the flavor, and it's not so like hard to swallow. If you swallow this straight up, it tastes fine. It's just a little bit tougher for me personally on my stomach, so I don't try to go that route. But and I didn't even finish everything that was in the basket here, so I'll just use the rest of the berries for tea. And like I said, it's just a small ice cube tray, just tiny. You don't want something like, you're looking for maybe kind of like a quarter size. You don't want those big ice trays, because, and you know, like I said, you just don't want too much of this unless you really like the flavor. Again, you do what works best for you. But look how beautiful that is. So that's another good way to be utilizing these berries, especially if you have a bunch of trees outside. That's just a good way to kind of get this into your body and into your system without having all those seeds. So hopefully you guys got some new information and some knowledge, and maybe some stuff that you didn't think about, or how to utilize a plant. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop those below. I'm happy to work with you all and try to get you all growing and doing more like healthier things and bringing healthier aspects into your life. So all right everyone, because remember what I tell you, right? Good stuff in the body is going to help you mentally. So that is my area of expertise, is mental health. So I want everybody to be physically well, healthy, happy, and everybody coming together. So all right, until next time, as always, love one another, be kind. I'll see you guys real soon.